Albert Einstein, one of the smartest people ever, once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." But why is that? And how did he know this? Well, let's take a look at his life to find out. Albert was born in 1879 in Germany. He didn't speak until he was 3 years old, and when he started school, his teachers thought that he was either slow or mentally challenged because he couldn't remember what they taught him. But Albert was not stupid. He just didn't fit into the school system. He hated the rigid structure, the way that there were no opportunities for creativity, and the fact that they made him memorize things without questioning why. There was one thing that he loved about school, though. That was math. There was something magical about numbers and equations that really appealed to his sense of wonder. Outside of school, he would spend hours playing the violin and asking his parents and anyone else who would listen, "Why is the sky blue? Why does the violin make that sound? Why does this contraption not work?" And then he would go off and try to figure it out for himself. That's how he taught himself most of the stuff he knew. He rejected what other people told him and instead followed his own inner logic. This caused him to fail his final exams in college, and he couldn't get a job in academia. So he ended up working as a patent clerk, which had nothing to do with physics. But this turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because now he had free time to think and work on his own theories. He developed them, wrote them down, and submitted them to journals, and then waited to hear back. In 1905, 4 of those papers were published, and the world was never the same again. Those 4 papers changed the world's understanding of time, space, and energy. One of those papers included the famous equation E equals mc squared, which explains the equivalence of mass and energy. This year is now known as his Annus Mirabilis, or Miracle Year. He eventually won the Nobel Prize in 1921 for his work on the photoelectric effect. He became famous and could have easily spent his time making more money, traveling the world, and partying. But he was already famous enough and didn't want to be a celebrity. He liked simple things like playing the violin, writing, and spending time with family. He also used his fame and influence to speak out for world peace, civil rights, and freedom. Although Einstein is known as one of the smartest men ever, he didn't think that knowledge was the most important thing. He once said, "I know that I am intelligent. There are people who are much smarter than me." What he valued more was imagination. That's what allowed him to come up with ideas that others had never even thought of. It's what allowed him to see the world in a different way. And it's what allowed him to change the world. So the next time someone tells you that you can't do something, remember that it's only impossible if you believe it is. Albert Einstein didn't let other people's expectations define him or limit his potential, and neither should you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.